Good day, everyone, and thank you to the IPWSO team for this platform to share about our circumstances in our small state of Qatar. Qatar has a very unique dynamic in which almost 90% of the community are expatriates from very diverse geographical and cultural backgrounds. While we reside here in a country that does not charge tax, for instance, on personal incomes, it also means that we do not benefit from the same social systems that are typically tax revenue generated by the state in providing complementary education and other facilities as many other countries do. However, because we are in a resource-rich country, we have until now managed to access free medical care that is provided by the state for all of its residents, regardless of whether we are citizens or not. This undoubtedly has been of incredible support. Though the quantity of highly specialized doctors are few, the PWS community that I know of have managed to secure the support of absolutely wonderful doctors. For instance, the pulmonologist who has been overseeing the care for my daughter for the last decade has coincidentally been trained at the very same sick kids hospital in Toronto where her care was initiated before moving to Qatar. Undoubtedly, we have an incredible medical team here, and for very little cost as well. For now, as there are whispers of privatization, but it's not come to fruition as yet. The issue that does exist at this point in time, however, are threefold: developmental support, education, and community building. By developmental support, I mean access to therapists and early intervention programs and the like. The therapy community as a whole is not very advanced in their methodology and tend to practice cookie-cutter methods of dealing with children. There is a distinct lack of personalization and catering to the developmental needs of the child. Furthermore, the therapy division that is state-funded have not expanded in many years. They're extremely overwhelmed and are only able to provide one physical therapy session and maybe one speech session every 2 weeks, which is a far cry from our children's needs. When seeking therapists in the private sector to make up for this, the cost quickly adds up with several therapies several times a week, starting at $200 and up, and with very little insurance coverage and poor quality. Many families are unable to even afford this. Our second issue is education. The education sector is divided into public and private schools. In public schools, it mostly comprises Arabic language schools, which is exclusive or not very accessible for expats and like us. So expatriates and many Qataris as well access education in private schools for their children's education. Unfortunately, the system and its constituents are still very much embedded in the medical model, and children with PWS or any disability at all have no legal protection to ensure access to schooling. Schools have the power to flatly refuse admissions on the grounds of not having enough resources to support the child. Furthermore, even when one does get lucky with admissions in a private school, the additional cost of support can triple the cost of education to $25,000 to $30,000 per child per year. I got lucky with my child. Many have not. The alternative is often homeschooling, but not out of choice, or enrolling them into day programs at therapy centers to continue building their skills, albeit without qualifying the child academically. Last but not least is community. Community building has been a big challenge with the hyperdiversity of the country. Typically, this is considered a strength, but in this context, it is not. Statistically speaking, we should have about 40 families with PWS in the country, but many have never sought medical help. Many probably have gone undiagnosed. I personally know of only a dozen families through asking our various doctors to connect us with these families. From them, a number of them speak only Arabic, and I communicate with them through their English-speaking children. A few come from culturally typical backgrounds and are still rooted in the concept of hiding the disability within their households. One is illiterate and is unable to communicate, is able to communicate only in a secondary language that we can both speak, but verbally only. Some have fathers as primary caretakers, to which some mothers from conservative families would not feel comfortable operating in the same group. And because we live in a very transitional community, often some of the expat families are here 1 year, but are not 2 years later. Hence, so far, community building efforts have only progressed so far through just only family to family communications and not as a comprehensive PWS community in Qatar. However, despite all of these challenges, some of us have had incredible opportunities to offer to our children to thrive and grow and expand their potential. Others have not been as lucky and continue to switch from one option to another in search for a solution that is both suitable for their child and also economically viable for their family. Thank you again for hearing us out.
Hi, my name is Jean. I just want to share a little about GH therapy for our PWS children. My girl Kaye, she's 11 this year and she has been taking GH since she was about a year and 7 months, which means it has been 9 years and 3 months now. And she has been doing very, very good with the help of GH therapy. The benefits are amazing. She immediately showed a lot of improvements right after taking GH when she was a little baby back then. I remember back when she had not taken GH yet, she could not lift her head, she could not bear down on her own legs, she could not sit on her own, but she could do all that after about 2 weeks taking GH, and of course with the additional physio and OT that we went through with her. So fast forward 9 years later, I must say that Kaye is doing really amazing with the help of GH therapy because she is of a slim build. She has a very healthy weight and she's only about 29.5 kilos, and her height is about 135 cm, which is considered tall for her age. She's also a very strong and very energetic girl in general, and with the usage of GH, it has helped to keep her very alert throughout the day, and I believe this helps her very much cognitively because she can focus and she can grasp what was taught to her during lessons. Now, there are so many benefits that our PWS kids can gain from GH, but sadly, there are many challenges, or I should say roadblocks, when it comes to attaining GH in Malaysia. First of all, it is very expensive. A GH pen of 10 mg costs 500 ringgit, just one pen. And the older the child, the higher the dosage. So in this case of Kaye, she needs 1 mg per dose, and that one pen of 10 mg can last her for 10 days, which means that she needs 3 of that pens in a month, and that will cost up to 1,500 ringgit. So this amount is a huge amount, and it is almost like a minimum wage of a general worker, you see. So because of the lack of the subsidy from our government, only 10% of the PWS population get to be on GH therapy because it is too costly for many, especially for the lower income group, hence causing many PWS families to just forgo this therapy. It is sad, as you can imagine, the benefits that all the PWS families lose out due to this unaffordability. So we wish to plead to the government to help our PWS community have a better quality of life by providing subsidy for GH therapy. At the very least, provide them to babies, toddlers or very young PWS children so that they can thrive better in life and attain all the benefits that GH can give. We hope our pleas will be listened and help could be given soon. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Azlyn and this is Addin. He's 11 years old, diagnosed with Prader-Willi when he was about 7 or 8 months. So from his diagnosis onwards, we knew that early intervention was very important. So we've been sending him for various therapies, physiotherapy, occupational therapy and speech therapy. Of all the 3 therapies, I'd say speech therapy is the hardest to find here in Malaysia because we have a shortage of speech therapists, but we've been trying to send him consistently to all his different therapies as far as possible. So in speech therapy, actually Addin is non-verbal, but even so, we still send him to speech therapists because it's important for him to be able to communicate. Even though he can't express verbally what he wants, he can actually understand more than he can communicate. And he's developed his own language, sign language. Like if he wants to go to sleep, for example, he'll give a big yawn. If he wants to listen to a song, he'll make this sign. It's from Baby Shark, do 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 do. As we know, in Prader-Willi syndrome, it's very common for these kids to have developmental delay. And that's very true with Addin. But it doesn't matter because basically we try to do as much as we can for them, and to get ready to help them get ready for the future. Okay, thank you.
In Malaysia, 10% of PWS population are above 17 years old. Most of them have completed their schooling period and stayed at home because there was a lack of job opportunity which suitable for them. I wish that we have a PWS center that can cater these teenagers so that they can be dependent on their own.
Hello, my name is Berit and I'm coming from Norway. I'm married and I had 3 children, 2 girls and a boy. The girl in the middle is born with Prader-Willi syndrome. She was diagnosed when she was only 1 month old and has now become 23. So I have been living with Prader-Willi syndrome for a long time. It has been challenging, it has been hard, and it has been a big experience. The support system in Norway differ at different ages. So to not make this video too long, I want to focus on the grown-ups and what is around the support system around my daughter, which is very common, and she doesn't have any special support system. It's very normal, the system that she has around her. She is living at home still. Many people at 23 in Norway has moved out to a sheltered home, but there is none available. It has been none available in our nearby area. So we have been waiting, and now we have been waiting so long, so now we are building one. So in 2 years time, hopefully she will move into a sheltered group home with 9 other young people. She's living at home. During the daytime, she is working at a sheltered workplace. She's working at the laundry and is doing fine. From the day she was turned 18, she started giving a monthly payment from the government. So every month she gets a monthly payment, but she also and that is included in the pay she gets from the workplace. The healthcare system around the grown-ups are not so close and not so tight as when they are younger. So the system she has now, she has a family doctor, but that's the same as her siblings also have their own family doctor. But the family doctor is seeing her more often than her siblings. She also go to an endocrinologist at the hospital every 4th or 5th month to monitorize the growth hormone. So what we need here in Norway, I would like to have, is that they see the opportunity to get the opportunity to see doctors that see many people with Prader-Willi syndrome. I know that's in place in other countries, and I think it's very important. And I think that it would be a good study in the future to look at and to see how important it is that I see doctors that see many. That was a little bit about the Norwegian structure and the challenge in the healthcare system here. So for the future, I think it's important to just continue focusing on the food-seeking problems. If my daughter didn't have the food seeking, she could live with a lot of other issues around the Prader-Willi, and also she's mentally disabled. She could live with that in many ways, but the food seeking is making the biggest issues, and I know that you will is familiar with that. So furthermore, to learn about that will be good for everyone. And also another issue I think is important to focus on furthermore in the future, there is a lot of work done already, is about how to know what's Prader-Willi syndrome, what is psychiatry, and what is mental disability. These three are mixed up many times, and there are not good expertise around in the world about it, and we need to have good science and good work done so that people can get the right help. Because okay, you have Prader-Willi syndrome, but people can also have psychiatrical problems. So we need to help them in the right way, and not just put anything in the Prader-Willi syndrome and everything in the mental disability. So to have good studies on that will be important, I think, for the future. And also another issue that is very important for me, and I see it is very needed, is how to the support for parents and siblings around the people with Prader-Willi syndrome. It's a special situation to live with that. It is a very extreme at sometimes, both with the food and sometimes with the behavior, and to have a good system for parents and siblings, or for how to live in a good way with the Prader-Willi syndrome in the house. So to have good tools and science and also spreading optimism that it is possible to live with it in a good way, but you have to take care of yourself as a parent. That's important to live with it. Okay, I think now that the minutes has gone, so I have to stop now. I could have been going on for a long time, but I will spare you for that. So thank you very much.